I never thought I'd find myself writing something like this, but here we are. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 8 years now. We're in our early 30s, and honestly, we've always seemed like the perfect couple. Good job, nice house, friends who envied us, the whole 9 yards. We even threw a big birthday party for her last weekend, had friends over, food, drinks, music. Normal stuff. But looking back, there were signs I just brushed aside or didn't want to see. Little things, you know. She'd be more secretive with her phone, sneaking away to answer calls in another room, and I'd catch her lying about her whereabouts or who she was texting. Honestly, I thought maybe I was just imagining things. Maybe I was paranoid or overthinking. But deep down, I felt a weird tension. Something was off. I remember her getting defensive when I'd ask her about her phone or her plans. She'd roll her eyes and snap back, "Jesus, Mike, I'm not cheating on you. Quit being so paranoid." She always had an excuse ready, a bitchy tone thrown in to dismiss any questions. Still, I kept telling myself maybe it was all in my head. That's what everyone does when they don't want to admit they're losing control. It's easier to pretend everything's fine than to face the possibility that your wife might be cheating on you. Then came the night of the party. I was pretty drunk, honestly, and I remember going to the basement to get more ice because we ran out. Our basement's finished, kind of our little hangout spot, pool table, TV, all that. I was standing there in the dark, bending down to grab the bag of ice from the freezer when I heard a noise. A muffled voice, actually. I froze, my heart racing. I thought maybe someone had come downstairs or I was hearing things from outside, but then I recognized Lisa's voice. She was talking to someone, and I swear I recognized her tone. It was different. Not the normal, bitchy, dismissive tone she used with me. It was softer, more intimate. I crept closer, trying not to make a sound, my stomach twisting. The door to the laundry room was slightly ajar, and I peeked in. That's when I saw her. Lisa was with my twin brother, Jake. They were pressed up against each other, kissing full-on, tongues and everything. I couldn't believe my eyes. My mind went blank. I felt like I was punched in the gut. It was so sudden, so raw. I never thought Lisa would cheat on me, especially not with my own brother. I mean, I knew they were close, but that close in our own basement, during my own birthday party, that's when I realized everything I thought I knew about her was a lie. All those little lies, the secret texts, the sneaking around, it all made sense now. And this wasn't just a fling either. They looked like they were into it, like it was more than just sex. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would burst. I wanted to scream, to confront them right then and there, but I was rooted to the spot. My mind was racing. What the hell do I do? Do I say something? Do I just walk away? The shock made me feel numb, like I was outside my own body. I knew this discovery was going to change everything. I just didn't know how, or when I'd be able to process it. That moment in the basement, I swear, it was like my entire world flipped upside down. And the worst part, I knew I'd never look at either of them the same way again. After I saw them in the basement, I couldn't just stand there. My mind was spinning, trying to understand what I'd just witnessed. I backed out slowly, closing the door as quietly as I could so they wouldn't hear me. My hands were trembling. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest, left gasping for air. I stood in the hallway, unable to move, staring at the door that hid everything I never imagined I'd see. My wife, Lisa, was with my own brother, Jake. What the hell was I supposed to do with that? How do you process something so raw and shocking in an instant? I felt like I was drowning in a flood of emotions. Anger, heartbreak, confusion, betrayal. It was like everything I thought I knew about my life was a lie. I kept replaying that moment in my head, trying to make sense of it, trying to figure out what I should do next. I mean, I knew I had to confront her, but I didn't want to do it right there and then. My head was foggy and I needed a moment to think. I went outside and sat on the porch, staring into the darkness, trying to calm down but knowing deep down that the worst was still ahead. Over the next few days, I found myself more distant from Lisa. She acted like everything was normal, bitchy, dismissive, snapping at me about small things. She kept insisting she wasn't cheating, that I was imagining things, that I was just paranoid. She threw around phrases like "you're crazy," "you're jealous," or "you're just insecure." She told me I needed to chill out, that she loved me but was tired of my constant accusations. But I knew better. I knew she was lying, trying to gaslight me into doubting myself. I'd catch her looking at her phone in secret or leaving her messages open on the screen when she didn't think I was looking. That's when I started doing some digging myself. I started going through her texts, her social media accounts, watching her behavior more closely. I found more signs, late-night messages, secret calls, her being overly defensive whenever I questioned her. It was clear she'd been lying to me for months. The betrayal hit me hard, but what really gutted me was knowing my own brother had been involved. The thought of him coming over, pretending to be my brother, and then sneaking off to have sex with her in our basement, I felt sick. I kept asking myself, how could they do this? How could she cheat on me with him? Was I just blind, or did I want to believe in a fairy tale? The worst part was the feeling of helplessness. I didn't want to lose everything, but I also knew I couldn't keep this secret forever. It wasn't just a fling or some drunken mistake. This was something serious, something that tore my world apart in a single night. I wondered if I should confront her directly or just cut my losses and walk away. But by then, I had already decided that I needed to do something, not just to protect myself, but to make sure she knew I wasn't going to let her get away with it. The emotional pain was unbearable, but I knew I had to face the truth, even if it shattered what little remained of my trust in her. I kept asking myself, what kind of woman sleeps with her husband's own twin brother during a birthday party? What kind of person does that? The rage, the hurt, everything was building inside me. I'd never felt so betrayed in my entire life. It was like I was living someone else's nightmare, only this nightmare was real. I knew eventually I'd have to confront her, but right now, I just wanted to understand how the hell I got here. How I'd let someone I loved betray me so completely. A few days went by and I couldn't sleep. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying that moment in the basement over and over, trying to find some way to make sense of it. Part of me wanted to storm into the house and yell at her, demand answers, but another part knew I needed to stay calm, at least for now. I didn't want to do anything rash, even though inside I was boiling with anger. I kept asking myself, did she think she could just cheat with my brother and I'd never find out? Did she think she could keep lying and I'd just pretend everything was fine? The betrayal cut so deep I felt like I was bleeding inside. One night, I finally decided I couldn't sit on this any longer. I needed to confront her, get some truth out, and see what kind of person I was dealing with. I set up a time that evening when she'd be home from work. She was bitchy about everything lately, snapping at me for no reason, acting like I was just some obstacle in her life. But I didn't care about her attitude anymore. All I cared about was getting some clarity. When she walked in, I was sitting at the dining table, phone in hand, pretending to be relaxed. Without any preamble, I looked her right in the eyes and asked, "Lisa, what the hell is going on? I saw you in the basement with Jake. Tell me the truth." Her face immediately hardened and she tried to brush it off, laugh it away, or dismiss it as a joke. "Oh, come on, Mike, you're overreacting. It's not what you think." But I wasn't buying it. I told her I saw her kissing him, that I knew they'd been sleeping together. Her eyes flickered for a moment, then she scoffed and gave me that typical bitchy smirk, like I was just some idiot who couldn't handle the truth. "You're crazy. You're jealous. Jake and I," she paused, rolling her eyes, "were just having some fun. It doesn't mean anything." That was a lie. I knew it was a lie. I could see it in her eyes. She was trying to save herself, to pretend she was innocent, but I wasn't buying it. I told her I wasn't stupid, that I'd caught her red-handed and I wanted the truth. She started yelling, calling me possessive, paranoid, insecure, all the typical defensive bullshit. She said she didn't mean to hurt me, that it was just sex, that it meant nothing. She kept lying, spinning stories, trying to convince me she loved me, that she'd never do anything to hurt me intentionally. But I was too furious to listen. I just sat there, watching her lie, feeling the flood of betrayal wash over me again. That night, I slept with my phone pressed to my ear, trying to come up with a plan. I felt humiliated, betrayed, and so angry I could cry. I wanted to lash out, to scream, to somehow make her suffer the way I was suffering. But I knew I had to stay calm. The only thing I knew for sure was that I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. The woman I married was sleeping with my brother. How did I let it get this far? How did I not see it coming? I kept thinking about all the little moments, the secret texts, the late nights, the weird excuses, and realizing they all meant she'd been lying to me for months. I couldn't believe I was living this nightmare, and honestly, I didn't know how I was going to get through it or what I was going to do next. All I knew was that my life was never going to be the same. The days that followed were pure hell. I couldn't focus on anything. Every time I looked at Lisa, I saw her differently. The woman I married, the woman I loved, she was a stranger now. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I let this happen. And that moment in the basement kept replaying in my mind like some sick tape loop I couldn't stop. It felt like my whole world was crumbling, and I was just standing in the ruins, wondering how I'd rebuild from this. I started thinking about what I wanted to do. Part of me wanted to confront Jake, to ask him why he thought it was okay to cheat with his brother's wife. But then I realized that, really, Lisa was the one who betrayed me first. Jake was just following her lead, or maybe he was just as messed up. Honestly, I didn't care much about him anymore. All I could think about was how she lied so effortlessly. She'd look me in the eyes and tell me she loved me, then turn around and cheat on me with my own twin. That kind of betrayal is something you never really get over. I decided I needed to hear what she had to say, one last time. I confronted her again, this time more calmly, though inside I was boiling. We sat across from each other in the living room, and I asked her straight up, why? Why did you do it? Why my brother, during my birthday party of all times? She rolled her eyes, scoffing as if I was just some paranoid fool. Mike, you're so dramatic, it was just sex. It doesn't mean I don't love you. Jake and I were just bored, okay? It was a stupid mistake, and I swear it's over. I could see she was lying through her teeth, but I played along, trying to get her to fully admit it. I needed her to say the words that she cheated on me with my brother. But she only refused, kept spinning stories, claiming it was just sex, that she didn't want to hurt me, that she loved me more than anything. That's when I lost it. I told her I didn't believe her, that I knew she'd been lying for months and I was sick of her bullshit. I wanted her to tell the truth, to face the consequences. But instead, she just sneered and told me I was overreacting, that I needed help, that I was insecure. That night I couldn't sleep. The betrayal was eating me alive. I felt a mixture of pain, rage, and a sick sense of numbness. How could she do this? How could she sleep with my brother, my family, the person I trusted most? Honestly, I'd never felt so worthless, so stupid for not seeing it coming. All those late nights she spent on her phone, the secretive behavior, the little lies I ignored. She'd been building this lie for months, and I was just too blind to see it. I wondered if she'd been planning this all along, or if it just happened out of boredom or some twisted craving for excitement. One thing was crystal clear. I couldn't stay in the same house, look at her, or pretend everything was fine. I knew I had to make a decision. But what? Stay and try to fix it, or cut her out of my life completely. The thought of walking away, of losing her, of losing my brother was unbearable. But staying, that felt even worse. How could I stay with a woman who'd sleep with my twin brother during our own birthday party? That's a question I kept asking myself over and over. Every time I thought I'd found some kind of answer, I'd realize that nothing would ever be the same. My trust was shattered, and I was left picking up the pieces of what was once a happy life. By this point, I was completely done pretending everything was okay. I decided I had to confront both of them, but I needed to plan carefully. I couldn't just burst in and accuse her again. I needed proof, clarity, and a way to make her face the reality of what she'd done. I started secretly recording her conversations when she didn't know, going through her phone and gathering evidence. I wanted her to see that I wasn't some naive fool. I'd uncovered her lies. The more I dug, the clearer it became that she had been planning this, maybe even before the birthday party. One afternoon, I decided to invite her to a talk, just the two of us. I told her I needed closure and I wanted her to honestly tell me everything. She looked annoyed, rolled her eyes, but agreed. When she came over, I sat her down and laid out everything I knew, her lies, the texts I'd found, the secret calls. I told her I'd seen her kissing Jake, and I wanted an explanation. She tried to brush it off, insisting it was just sex, that she didn't love him and that it was over. But I pressed her harder, showing her the evidence I'd collected. That's when she finally broke down. Her face twisted with rage and disdain, and she spat out, "Fine, yes, I slept with Jake. But it was just sex, I swear. I was bored and he's my brother's twin. It's not like I'm in love with him. It's just sex, Mike. Get over it. I looked at her, the tears welling in my eyes, feeling my stomach turn. How could she lie so easily? How could she dismiss something so significant with just a shrug? It hit me then that she had no remorse, no genuine regret. She was just trying to sweep it under the rug, act like it was nothing. I felt my own anger boiling over. I told her that her just sex explanation was bullshit, that she'd crossed a line no one should ever cross, that she didn't get to decide what was just sex and what wasn't, that she betrayed me in the worst possible way during what should have been a celebration of her life. She yelled back, calling me insecure, stupid, and told me I was overreacting again, that I was making a mountain out of a molehill, but I knew better. I saw her for what she was, a woman who lied, cheated, and played with my feelings like they were nothing. In that moment, I decided I couldn't stay with her, not because I didn't love her, but because I couldn't trust her anymore. I told her I'd had enough. I was leaving. She called me names, screamed at me, but I just packed a bag and walked out. The pain was excruciating. Walking away from the woman I thought I knew her, and my brother, who I'd thought was my family, felt like losing a part of myself. I knew then that I'd have to rebuild somehow from the wreckage of what was supposed to be a happy life. That betrayal, that level of deception, it wasn't just about sex. It was about her choosing to lie, cheat, and hurt me in the most personal way possible. Now, I'm trying to figure out how to put my life back together. I don't know if I'll ever forgive her, or even if I want to. Things will never be the same, and honestly, I don't think I can ever trust her again. That's the cost of betrayal. It leaves scars that never fully heal. But I've learned one thing: trust is fragile. And once it's broken, you can't just glue it back together and pretend everything's fine. You have to rebuild from scratch, and sometimes that means walking away from the people you thought were your family. Since walking out that night, my life has been a blur of confusion, anger, and relief all mixed together. I've moved into a small apartment, trying to get some distance from everything that reminds me of her: the house, the memories, even Jake. Honestly, I don't even know who I am anymore. The betrayal cut so deep I feel like I've been hollowed out, and I spend a lot of time questioning everything I once believed about love, trust, and family. The worst part is knowing she's out there, probably pretending everything's fine when she's probably already moved on, or maybe not. I don't really care anymore. Looking back, I realize I was naive. I ignored the red flags, brushed off the little lies, convinced myself that maybe, just maybe, she'd change, or that it was all some stupid mistake. But now I see it clearly. Her entire game was built on deception, on hiding behind a mask of love that was nothing but lies. And her lying, bitchy attitude, that was just her way of deflecting, of keeping everyone at arm's length so no one could see what she was really doing. The biggest lesson I've learned is that trust is everything, and once it's gone, it's almost impossible to get back. I don't know if I'll ever love again, or if I'll ever be able to look at a woman the same way. But I do know one thing: I refuse to be a victim of someone else's lies anymore. I have to rebuild my life, find my own happiness, and figure out what I want from here. It's not easy. Some days I feel like I'm just surviving, not really living. But I also know that I'm stronger than I thought, and that I deserve better than someone who cheats and lies to me. To anyone reading this, I'll say this: trust your gut. When things don't feel right, they probably are. Don't ignore the red flags, and don't convince yourself that it's all just a misunderstanding or that it will get better. Because it won't, not if you're being lied to and betrayed. Be brave enough to face the truth, even when it hurts. Because in the end, you have to choose whether to stay and accept a lie or walk away and start over. I chose to walk away. It's going to take time, but I believe I'll be okay. I've learned that the most painful betrayals can teach you how to value yourself again. And maybe someday, I'll find someone who's honest, who respects me, and who won't treat love like a game. But for now, I'm just focusing on healing. Because if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that I deserve better than a bitchy wife who cheats with my own brother. And I hope everyone else out there facing something similar finds the strength to do what's right for them, no matter how hard it gets.